Members, it's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. Item number 1, information papers issued since last meeting. There is one. You'll find the information on the agenda. Please take note. Item 2, items for yes. Mr. Perry, you? I mentioned this in the first meeting. On the updated list of outstanding items for discussion, there is none that is related to what I proposed, that is integration with culture, sports, and tourism. You know that there is the national games to be taking place in the GBA. We now have the Kai Tak Sports Park. Some of the sports events will take place in Hong Kong. This weekend we will see the first game of rugby sevens. I think we need to talk about the topic of sports tourism. Is it possible to add an item to this effect on the list? Yes, I'll ask the clerk to do it. I'll talk to the administration to see if we can juggle things around to put that in. Let's continue. Item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. List of outstanding items for discussion. Members have raised no issues. The other one is list of follow-up actions. And that one is CB bracket 3352 of 2025 bracket 02. Let's move on to the next item. That is the schedule for the next meeting. The next regular meeting will take place on the 14th of April between 4:30 and 6:30. The administration proposes 3 items for discussion. First, the preparation work for the Hong Kong Intangible Cultural Heritage Month. The second one is proposed amendments to the Chinese Permanent Cemeteries Rules, Cap 1112A. The HOIAB indicated that they would like to add one more discussion item in the next meeting. However, we have not received any items submitted by the administration. If we are to discuss 3 items in the next meeting, I may ask the clerk to inform members that the end time of the next meeting will change from 6:30 to 7 o'clock, an addition of 30 minutes, so that we have more time to discuss the items. Any questions? If not, item 3. Implementation of Youth Development Blueprint. There are 2 papers. One is from the administration, the other one from the Secretariat. Paper number CB bracket 3352 of 2025 bracket 03 and CB bracket 3352 of 2025 bracket 04. Members, if you would like to ask questions, please press the request to speak button. I'll take into account the number of members who wish to speak before when I set the time allotted to each member. Perhaps I will ask Mr. Clarence Leung, the Undersecretary, to take us through the paper. Thank you. We're here to report to you the implementation of the Youth Development Blueprint as well as the initiatives launched by bureaus over the past year. The blueprint is an important framework document for the development of youth. It puts in place the clear policy direction for guidance for different sectors. Our aim is that we can cultivate a generation of youth that is equipped with a global perspective, aspiring, a positive thinking mindset, and affectionate for our country, that they will strive to make contributions to the country and to the world. There are 160 action initiatives in the blueprint to support youth development. At the same time, we take stock of the latest situation and update the initiatives in the blueprint to make sure that it keeps abreast with the times in answer to the needs of young people. In 2023, bureaus have proposed close to 60 initiatives. In the past year, they have proposed 30 new measures. Under the framework, we have cooperated these initiatives, namely the 4 chapters: exploration, hope, empowerment, and contribution. In terms of exploration, this is an important part for knowing about our country. There is a working group on patriotic education promoting the initiatives in this regard. We also actively promote life planning and mainland and overseas exchanges so that youngsters will find their calling and use the chance to equip themselves. Under the chapter Hope, we hope to help youngsters to equip themselves and know better about the country. We have put in place a better home ownership scheme to help them. We also increased the number of places in youth hostels. It was increased from 80 places to 3,000. This is to respond to youngsters that aspire to have a space of their own. Under the chapter Empowerment, we attach importance to the mental and physical health of youngsters. A number of bureaus work together to provide information on strengthening mental health of youngsters online and offline. We have also organized a number of activities, events, and adventures to help youngsters build positive values. Under the chapter Contribution, we have put in place a number of measures to help youngsters expand their network. We are going to make good use of the Kai-Tak quarantine facilities to turn it into a youth post hostel, youth link, and in Nam Cheong District Community Center we put in place youth link. As well, we will also convert part of the youth square to create new space for young people. As at the end of this year, we have close to 100 initiatives that have been completed. Bureaus have been launching other initiatives. Progress is good. The implementation of the blueprint relies on the work of the different bureaus as well as different sectors in the community. We'll continue to coordinate initiatives and work towards the direction and initiatives under the blueprint to take forward our work in youth development. That's all for my introduction. We are happy to answer questions. Thank you. 12 members would like to ask questions. Let me read out their names. Kenneth Yao, Rock Chen, Kenneth Leung, Michael Lok, Holden Chow, Chen Yung, Chen Yut Ming, Lau Chi Pang, Yu Park Leung, Ma Fong Kwok, Benson Luk, and Johnny Ng. We have limited time. I'll allow 4 minutes question and answers included for each members. I'll be quite strict with time management so that everyone will have their turn. First, Mr. Kenneth Lau, 4 minutes. At the end of 2022, the Bureau implemented the blueprint with about 160 action initiatives to help youngsters overcome hurdles in education, employment, and entrepreneurship and home ownership. It's been 2 years. A number of measures have been completed. They also take into account the needs to update the blueprint to answer the needs of youngsters. I have a couple of questions. First, in relation to overseas exchange as well as the hostel, the youth hostel. The blueprint talks about helping youngsters to know better about our country's development. Well, support is given to Hong Kong to enhance exchange and cooperation. In the 2024-25 year, There are 96 exchange programs covering 44 countries. 30 of them are Belt and Road countries. There are about 2,100 participants. In 2026, will you consider enhancing these increasing the number of quotas in the subsidy schemes? In addition to that, are there new ones to enhance Hong Kong bi-directional youth exchange with other places? In relation to setting up the youth post hostel, how do you attract youngsters to engage in culture and sports exchanges? Thank you for the question. In terms of overseas exchanges, in 24-25, we have done a lot of work, as the member has said, as to how we can enhance our work. That is, in terms of cooperation and exchanges with other places. We have in the pipeline initiatives in 25-26. These programs have been approved. In addition to increasing the number of quotas, we also encourage NGOs working with or subsidized by us to organize exchange programs. Last year, we have held the inaugural Youth Development Summit. We are going to organize the second edition this year. We will invite youngsters from different countries to come to Hong Kong to participate. It was a very good experience from last year. In addition to the summit, there is a platform for youngsters from the mainland and from overseas to have very in-depth dialogue on many different areas, say, for example, INT development, cultural conservation. These initiatives have been very successful. We'll continue with our work in this regard. We will also support different enterprises to assist youngsters by giving them internship opportunities in overseas countries, especially in Belt and Road countries. Now turning to the youth post hostel, on the 20th of this month, in February, we have started the tender exercise. We're assessing the tender. We will enhance our publicity so that youngsters can make good use of this facility to engage in exchanges. Mr. Rock Chen. The other secretary said that now we have over 3,000 places in youth hostel places. Does it have a high utilization rate? Has the Bureau conducted tracking surveys and studies to see if the accommodation has helped youngsters in their studies or work? We need to know whether the youth hostel has indeed helped youngsters. In relation to exchanges, for some strange reasons, we've heard about a spate of incidents of exchange programs. Youngsters end up having different kinds of troubles like diarrhea. So it seems that there is a risk. Have you considered putting in place risk management plans? Now we've heard about quite a number of these incidents. So I wonder if the administration has done any risk management work.
Undersecretary, thank you, Mr. Rock Chan. For youth hostels, there are NGO contractors. These NGOs not only provide accommodation to young people, there are also a lot of value-added services for young people. Secretary, Commissioner, and I myself interact with young people living in youth hostels. We do so regularly. This has a positive response. Young people thank the support provided by the community as well as the government. Looking ahead, I can say that youth development work is sustainable work. We are confident that youth hostels help young people with upward mobility. It is an important initiative. Regarding exchange tours, I thank Mr. Rock Chan for mentioning this issue. From our perspective, between 2024 and 2025, as we understand, there are still some exchange tours going to the mainland and overseas. Some of them will set off at Easter's holidays. We have already reminded these tours and the organizers to be alive to food poisoning risks as well as the physical health of young people. We have also sent reminders. The Center for Health Protection has provided us with information which we will relay to NGOs before departure of the tours. At the same time, I'll give the floor to the Education Bureau to see what they will add. Education Bureau or the Health Bureau? Anything to add? Education Bureau? Mr. Casper, Principal Assistant Secretary from the Education Bureau. Thank you, Chairman. Just now, member mentioned exchange tours. Recently, students on exchange tours felt unwell. Indeed, for all exchange tours, safety is top of mind. Before exchange tours, schools hold seminars or briefing sessions. There is risk-based management by the Education Bureau. We have already set up a task force. We not only work with the departments in Hong Kong as well as the stakeholders in Hong Kong, but we also work with the units in the mainland to identify risks. We have already updated guidelines after looking into the situation. We have already exchanged the enhanced reporting mechanisms. We also work with the CHP of the Department of Health. For each case, we proactively follow up on each case in order to provide suitable care to all students. Dr. Hui, well, it's time. Next, Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I'm glad to see quite many measures are mentioned under the Youth Development Blueprint. 2 years ago, the Bureau said that this is a living document. There will be new measures added to the blueprint. I have questions on two fronts. One, for the two sessions that took place just recently, our country supports Hong Kong in deepening exchange. We have the staunch support of our country, and we also enjoy connections with the world. Just now, member mentioned exchange tours with overseas places. International conferences send young people. Young people take part in these international conferences. Is the administration planning more initiatives, not just the HYAB or probably the Education Bureau? Do you have any new measures under the pipeline? vision of the Youth Development Blueprint, positive values, and nurture a generation of young people who love our country and Hong Kong. Patriotic education is very important. A working group has been set up to steer this type of work. I'd like to ask, under the blueprint, how will the administration tie in with the work of the working group on patriotic education in order to enhance work in this regard? Under Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Kent Leung, for his question. Regarding deepening international exchange, apart from organizing exchange tours for young people to go to overseas places, we also invite young people from overseas to come to Hong Kong for exchange. For the Youth Development Summit, I look forward to more young people from different countries to come to Hong Kong. Young people in Hong Kong go to voluntary organizations in the United Nations to take part in volunteer work. Looking ahead, there will be more chances for young people to take part in different conferences. Say in November, 5 young people will join the Voices of the Future organized by APAC. This is an official conference, and we will explore more such opportunities. Regarding the working group on patriotic education, I'll give the floor to Mr. Wu, Undersecretary. Well, the working group on patriotic education was set up last April. School, politics, culture, economy, there are activities on this front. Last year, there was a celebration about the founding of the PRC, and this year we are going to have the 80th anniversary of victory in War of Resistance. In the Memorial Garden, there are solemn decorations, and through there will be different associations working with the administration to hold interviews and so on. The Hong Kong Museum of the War of Resistance and Coastal Defense also organizes a series of events. In conjunction with schools, we promote history as well as patriotic education. Next member, Mr. Lok Chung Hong. Thank you, Chairman. We need young people's participation. The suicide rate of young people, there are some 300 cases every year. There are 20 to 30 young people who kill themselves. My heart saddens whenever I hear such cases. Their parents' hearts also sink. Is it because of a lack of resilience? What is the reason behind it? There are 3-tier mechanisms against suicide. Paragraph 13 and 14. There's a 4RS mental health charter, and there is also the whole school health program, but only 65% of the schools take part in it. What about the remaining 1/3 of the schools? They have signed up for the charter. Have you taken stock of the progress? Can you set more concrete KPIs? Say the WHO suggests 1 hour of physical activities every day. but only 10% of young people meet this goal. They don't have even half an hour for physical activities. Apart from goals, will you set KPIs for schools to follow? Then schools can implement these initiatives or goals. Under Secretary, I'll give the floor to Mr. Casper from the Education Bureau. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for your question. Mental health of students, as well as the suicide rate, are the concerns of the Education Bureau. We take a targeted approach to promote mental health among students. We use a multi-pronged approach. Just now, Member mentioned the 4S Mental Health Charter. It applies to all schools in Hong Kong. We want to help students on all fronts. We also have work on different fronts. A healthy living style, including mental health, is one of the main points. There are also mental health resource kits. They are available in both secondary and primary schools. Regarding targeted support, the Education Bureau provides goalkeeper training as well as thematic courses for teachers focusing on students with mental health needs. We want to identify students in need in order to provide targeted support services. There is a multidisciplinary team covering educational psychologists, social workers, and so on. We want to provide professional support to students. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Michael, well, I do want to see concrete indicators, not just principles that whether schools can follow or not. And I'd like to take stock of the effect of such measures. We do need to look into the issue of student suicides. We need to take a holistic approach. Administration, can you provide written reply after the meeting? Thank you. Next member, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to follow up on paragraphs 42 and 43 on mental health. Indeed, we see student suicide cases in society. Society is concerned about this. Paragraph 41 and 43, we can see the mental health hotline. A total of 139,000 calls are received every year, averaging 320 calls per day. And according to the paper, for referral cases through the hotline, there are a total of 414 cases. Is this rate on the high side or on the low side? You refer cases in need to the relevant departments. This is a single-digit percentage, so what is your definition? How do you define a high referral rate? Students' mental health is of global concern. Students spend a long time using their mobile phones. We received from teachers and parents views that we should encourage students to take part in group activities or group sports. They can promote their mental health. Say they can join a basketball match or a football match. This is better than spending time on social media platforms or mobile games. Will the administration work on public education, publicity? Thank you.
Who is to take the question? I will quickly reply to the second part of Mr. Chow's question. Under the HYAB, We attach importance to the positive value of youngsters, especially in relation to sense of belonging to a group. We have launched subsidy programs. The program will cover many different activities for youngsters to participate. We instill in them positive value. They belong to a group so that they will work with the group to overcome challenges and engage in different activities. This is conducive to equipping youngsters to face challenges. We also have the youth festival for youngsters to participate. They participate in physical activities. They are not just sports events. There are events on art, knowledge learning. In the past 2 years, there are about over 200,000 youngsters who have participated. In relation to the hotline run by the HHB, I will defer to my colleague. This is a round-the-clock, one-stop support hotline for those in need. When a call is received, if the staff members identify immediate danger of a suicide case, we will refer the case to the HHB, to the police, to the hospital authority or the fire services department. There are also organizations that worked on prevention of suicide. There are also organizations that worked with ethnic minorities. If the callers don't show immediate danger, of course, the case will not be referred to other organizations, but counseling will be provided over the phone to help them. Mr. Chen Yong, I thank government representatives for coming to this meeting. I see that the blueprint covers many different areas. I would like to talk about the 80th anniversary of the resistance, of the Wall of Resistance, as well as the 60th anniversary of the supply of Dongjiang water. The 3rd of September is the actual day of the victory. I'm sure that Professor Lau is very familiar with this. We're talking about the Independent Brigade, also the Legion from Canada, from the UK, is related to our history. And it's about the GBA cities as well, perhaps. The CMAB is more familiar with it. In any event, I would like to know if there are other activities in the pipeline. There are existing series relating to history, say, for example, mainland exchange tours. Will you make good use of existing initiatives by adding new elements? Perhaps you add the elements of the 80th anniversary of victory in the Wall of Resistance. I believe that there are large-scale celebratory events on the mainland. So you can add these elements to existing initiatives. There will be cost effectiveness. I wonder if you have any such plan. I fully subscribe to the members' views. We have made advanced preparations for the publicity of these two topics. A number of NGOs has made applications for activities on this theme. There are dozens of them. The applications are being processed. We have plans to make good use of existing youth platforms to promote these two events. Last Saturday, we've launched a new round of Youth Ambassador Scheme. We talk about caring for our community. We have youth ambassadors that helps to teach, to learn with other youngsters about wall of resistance, a fight against fascism, as well as the brigade of the East River Column. Ms. Chan Yue-ming, I would like to ask about the overseas exchange programs, and other members also mentioned about this. Well, we've heard about gastroenteritis problems. The Bureau said they would follow up, but I'm concerned that parents may be worried and they would stop their children from participating. Has there been any negative impact on the cities as a result of these incidents? I hope that there is a mechanism to monitor the quality of contractors. I hope you'll work with the CMAB to work with the provincial government of where these exchange tours take place to see if they can put in place a contingency plan or a better selection of restaurants to reduce the risk. The next one I'd like to ask is the Youth Recommendation Scheme, the self-nomination scheme. This is a platform for youngsters to volunteer to join as a member of the different schemes, say, for example, the Youth Community Building Committee. I would like to know about the effectiveness. Well, after putting forward their views, do these youngsters have a chance to participate to make it happen? Can you give me some examples for me to gauge the effectiveness of the initiative? I will answer the first part of the question. The second part, I will defer to the Education Bureau. In relation to the Youth Member Self-Recommendation Scheme, we are working on the 8th batch or the 8th round. There are 2 Youth Community Building Committee, District Youth Community Building Committee, and the District Youth Development and Civic Education Committee for self-recommendation this round. We're talking about 36 places over all 18 districts. So there is a large number of places under the Member Self-Recommendation Scheme for youth. There are members in these committees that are over the age of 18, but it's because it's related to district affairs. We have lowered the eligibility to above 16, so that youngsters can make suggestions on district affairs. Altogether, about 330 out of 1,100 members that join under the recommendation scheme. I've talked to the different committees. Holding meetings or attending meetings is one part of the job. There are also activities for youngsters. Some members of the Community Building Committee go to the streets to conduct questionnaire surveys to gauge the response of the youth activities they have organized. We see that they're quite active in their participation. Well, this is the 8th batch. There is going to be a new one. We see a very high turnout. We have received 2,000 applications. Well, your time's up, so there is no supplementary question. Next, Professor Lau Chi-Pang. The blueprint has a very rich content. It has vision as well. I'd like to ask about a particular point, that is internship and exchange overseas. Is it paragraphs 13, 14? My question is, are there designated sectors, places, trades under the internship scheme? The latest development, well, provides a different direction for development, say DeepSeek and Naja. I heard that DeepSeek will only employ those under the age of 28. Well, the movie Naja also attract a lot of people into the animation and movie sector. These have given us some food for thought. We thought that youngsters engage in idle and meaningless activities, but actually it's a bright future for them. We see that youngsters are rather interested in innovation, in technology, or AI. Will you provide more opportunities in these sectors? Well, you may not be able to help them go to Hangzhou. What about Guangzhou? What about closer places? Say some internship places in nearby mainland cities, so that youngsters will get a taste of what it's like to be working in state-of-the-art organizations. I thank Professor Lau for his questions. I'll try to answer as best as I can. Yes, we do have internship schemes for different youngsters with different interests. Some are interested in creativity, culture. There are also some that are interested in the development of the 8 centers, whereas others are interested in the professional development. There are different internship programs. Some are collaboration programs with multinational corporations, and interns go overseas to work. There is one organization that is from FinTech. Their offer is very popular. Of course, in addition to that, we have traditional trades. We also have engineering companies and banks. They are all very popular. We provide a thematic internship opportunities to Dunhuang, to Wolong, to Qingdao, to different research institutes. We also work with NGOs. We want to provide different places in different areas, say for example e-commerce, Chinese medicine. For our youngsters, we want to provide different opportunities for youngsters so that they will get a feel about what they would like to do in the future.
Next member, Mr. Perry Yu. Before Mr. Perry Yu speaks, 4 more members have pressed a button after I read out the names. They are Mr. Benson Lok, Dr. Johnny Ng, Ms. Maggie Chen, and Ms. Chan Ho Yan. If more members would like to speak, I don't guarantee a 4-minute time limit or speaking time for these members. We need to ensure we have enough time for the next agenda item. Thank you, Mr. Perry Yu. I'd like to follow up on Professor Lau's question. The Youth Life Planning Subsidy Scheme is close to our heart. We need to help young people to understand more about different industries in order that young people will know whether a particular industry is suitable for them through the funding scheme for youth life planning activities. Can the tourism sector take part in it as well? Accounting, retail, for instance, they are covered. We have aviation, hotel, travel agencies, tourist attractions, and so on. We want to provide more opportunities for young people in Hong Kong to have experience in different positions across different sectors. We do want to attract more new blood to these industries. We want to enhance their understanding of these industries. We can offer first-hand experience for young people. Regarding exchange, I've been following up on it. There are student exchange or exchange programs subsidized by the Education Bureau. I have to declare that I'm a director of a travel agency in Hong Kong. For the exchange programs of the HYAB, are there any requirements to engage a licensed travel agency as the contractor? Members as well as society are concerned about student safety on exchange tours. We can offer sufficient protection if licensed travel agencies are to provide services. There will also be enough supporting measures to tie in with the work of the HYAB. Then young people will receive full support during their exchange programs. They can focus on broadening their horizons as well as their learning experience. Please give some time for the administration to reply. Well, young people will also promote Hong Kong. They can be ambassadors. Indeed, as for the funding scheme for youth life planning activities, we work with different NGOs. We provide subsidies to NGOs. For those who apply to join the funding scheme, well, we welcome NGOs or organizations that are interested in joining the scheme. We work with NGOs to expand the services of the travel industry, tourist industry. We're going to roll out more youth life planning activities. Regarding travel agencies, we don't have hard and fast requirements right now. But then for some of the overseas exchange programs, licensed travel agencies do provide services. They want to ensure capacity for handling any issues that may arise on the exchange tours. Next member, Mr. Benson Lok. Thank you. I have questions on 2 fronts regarding the implementation of the blueprint. One, on youth hostels. from 80 when the government took office to a total of 3,000 at present. We need to commend the work of the administration. The number of hostels multiplied. There are three main ways to offer youth hostels. One, fully subsidized by the government, and the other is to turn suitable places to be youth hostels. And the third way is to include youth hostels on the land sale program. Apart from the subsidy scheme for using hostels and guest houses as youth hostels. In Tongchong, Area 106A, the Secretariat for Development said that the site covered youth hostels, but then youth hostels would have to be moved to another site in order to ease the pressure on developers. This is not quite effective having regard to the market situation, and I'd like to ask about the subsidy scheme for using hotels and guest houses as youth hostels. In the heads of expenditure of the budget, the balance dropped from $1 billion to $938 million. In other words, we spent $60 million on securing 1,300 places. We did so within 2 years, a total of 1,300 places. Can I check whether this figure is correct? If so, I'd encourage the administration to make good use of the subsidy scheme to increase the number of youth hostel places. Just to declare, I help NGOs to build youth hostels, but it entails a lot of hard work as well as time. Undersecretary, well, I have one more question. I'll be quick. Excuse me, Chairman. Some young people have been imprisoned Well, the CSD has been providing assistance to young people to turn over a new leaf who were influenced by other people. There are post-secondary education institutions, students who are imprisoned. Is there any way to help these young people to integrate into society? Are there any projects to help these young people to return to the campus? Do you have any concrete figures? Less than 1 minute. Administration, please. I'll be quick. I thank Mr. Benson-Look for supporting our youth hostel scheme. In fact, when we read the budget, well, we spend $60 million on 1,300 places, but this is recurrent expenditure, not just a one-off expenditure. Regarding young people who are imprisoned out of different reasons, probably I'll give the floor to the Security Bureau. There are some schemes, and the CSD signed Memorandum of Understanding with the Hong Kong Metropolitan University. There will be credits as well as interfacing measures or arrangements to help people in prison to continue with their studies. Next member, Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. The organization I work for engages in youth exchange tours as well. I need to commend the administration's work on the youth development work under the blueprint. Their work has been very successful. Many of them have been implemented. We need to deepen international exchange, and our 2 sessions have just come to an end. I'd like to ask about international exchange for young people. The amount of subsidies is on the low side. Some NGOs may have to look for other source of income to seek subsidies? Will the administration provide more assistance to support international exchange programs? Will you work with outstanding young people in the mainland to go overseas to go on more exchange tours? Science Park works with different companies to go to Silicon Valley, and the effectiveness has been quite good. Apart from starting business in the GBA, will the administration support young people in going overseas for, say, 2 to 3 months to broaden their horizons so that we can bolster our position as an international shipping center or international trade center? Undersecretary, thank you, Dr. Johnny Ng, for his support. Deepening international exchange is indeed important. We have different initiatives in this regard. We have an overseas exchange program covering 6 continents. In other words, apart from the Atlantic, the Antarctica, we cover most continents. We promote in-depth exchange. For young people of similar age, we encourage them to have exchange. Probably they can go to less popular tourist attractions. Regarding the funding scheme, last year we launched a pilot scheme. We want to help grassroots young people to go overseas to join different exchange programs. In other words, under the funding scheme for mainland and global engagement and student learning experience, we subsidize grassroots youth to take part in such exchange activities through the pilot scheme on subsidy to grassroots youth for participating in exchange activities outside Hong Kong. We also subsidize NGOs to invite overseas young people to come to Hong Kong. Regarding starting up business, we've been providing support to young people who would like to start a business, and we have already started an alliance of Hong Kong youth innovation and entrepreneurial bases in the GBA. There are a total of 60 members, and in less than 1 year, a total of 160 events have been organized. We are glad to receive feedback from legislators. Next member, Ms. Maggie Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about the 80th anniversary of victory in War of Resistance. This is a significant event. Paragraphs 18, 23, and 30. Well, I have 2 questions regarding events of 80th anniversary of victory in War of Resistance. CSTB, CMAB, and the HIAB are also involved. Regarding young people exchange, how do you ensure better coordination? I'd like to follow up on Mr. Brave Chan's question. His question is indeed very good. Do you work together? Do you collaborate with one another? 80th anniversary of victory in the War of Resistance, say in the GBA 9+2. These cities will organize events centering around this anniversary event. Not just fragmented exchange tours, they work together indeed. Regarding working with the mainland and Macau, do you have any plans to organize activities on this front? Thank you.
Let me try to answer your first question. In relation to the second part, I will defer to my colleague. Exchange tours in relation to the 80th anniversary of victory in the War of Resistance, we are working at full steam. The HYAB arranged youngsters to join exchange tours. Under this theme, we have invited different groups to make applications for youth exchange programs. We are vetting their applications. Of course, each tour has their special characteristics or elements. We want to make sure that programs, whether they are HYAB programs or those under the collaboration of NGOs, will succeed and benefit youngsters. Mr. Wu? Well, it's not just Hong Kong, Macau, or the GBA. Our country attaches importance to the 80th anniversary as well. The policy address last year said that there will be celebratory activities for the anniversary. Well, there will be coordination among different bureaus and departments for celebratory activities organization. There is the Education Bureau, the HYAB, the LCSD, the Information Services Department will organize various activities under this theme. These activities don't just target youngsters. For students, the Education Bureau will organize competitions, and study schemes. There will also be training programs. Field trips on the mainland will be organized as well. For teachers, there are also field trips for teachers. In relation to collaboration activities with the mainland, when I have the information, I will give it to members. Mr. Chen Ho-Yen, I would like to talk about employment, youth employment. Not long ago, I attended an activity of the Housing Authority. Well, rent-free space are provided to youngsters so that they can start their businesses. It has made an impression on me. I think it's a very good initiative. There are a lot of shop spaces under the Housing Authority that are vacant. They can be put to good use by letting youngsters to start businesses there. The cost is low. I see that in Kai Tak there is the youth post hostel. There will be a similar exercise put in place. Can you give me more information? Can the experience of the bureaus and departments be passed on to the youth post hostel? I mentioned about the example. It was a place for. It was a shop for youngsters. That's the theme is cats. A lot of youngsters, they may not have high academic qualifications, but they love animals. Now I turn to mental health. There is the 4RS Mental Health Charter that is done in collaboration with the Education Bureau. I see that youngsters need a mentor. Under the Strive and Rise scheme, young participants have mentors as well. Youngsters are under different pressure. They are also seriously affected by online activities. They may be bullied, but they don't tell their parents. They may tell their mentors who's only a few years older than them. So will you introduce these initiatives in the blueprint? I mean, not just at schools, but outside schools as well. I thank Ms. Chen for her questions. In terms of entrepreneurship, the HYAB used different initiatives to support youngsters. We're very glad to learn about the brilliant measure by the Housing Authority. We're vetting applications for the Kai Tak Youth Post Hostel. When we invite tender, we ask prospective tenderers to support youngsters in different areas that includes entrepreneurship. We don't have the result of the tender exercise yet. But I believe that there will be space at that location for youngsters to start their businesses. They will be given a chance to engage in cultural work. We want to provide space for youngsters. Just now the member mentioned about mental health. I will defer to my colleague. We'll first hear from the Housing Authority, the Housing Department. Thank you, Monsieur. I really appreciate the members' good words about our program. Well, one of the businesses will engage people with hearing or hearing disability impairments to work there. I think it is of great benefits to different parties. The initiative will end in April. We will see if the program can be expanded to help youngsters. That is in relation to the well-being startup program. Can we hear from Ms. Yip briefly on the answer in relation to mental health? We engage different departments, policy bureaus, namely the DH, the Labor and Welfare Department, Social Welfare Department, Education Bureau, and stakeholders in the community. We work with them to promote mental health. We bear in mind the suggestion of a mentor. We may incorporate that. We'll ask different departments to consider that. The last person is myself. I only have one question. Well, there is the Alliance of GBA Youth Innovation and Entrepreneurial Basis. It is in relation to youth entrepreneurs. It says that there are 60 partners that work to resolve difficulties encountered by youngsters in their startups. So what is the actual effectiveness? Are there many inquiries? Young entrepreneurs, do they know that there is this channel that they can turn to for help? A member asked suggested initiative to send messages in WeChat. Will you consider that? What is the progress? In relation to the Innovation and Entrepreneurial Basis Alliance, there are 60 member organizations. They are official organizations, or at least has official affiliation, or they are affiliated to non-profit making organizations. Universities, tertiary education institutions, Cyberport, and the Science Park are partner organizations as well. There are also the Guangdong Province government organization. They have invited more organizations to join to provide support. In addition to support, platforms are also provided for youngsters to set up their businesses there. Say, for example, Tianhai, which is one of our partners. Let me interrupt you. We know about the information. We just want to know about the effectiveness. I will cover that. We visited many different startup bases to get a better understanding of the situation. Youngsters may have their consideration in the choice of location. Youngsters, generally speaking, are happy with the assistance provided at these bases. We have NGOs in Hong Kong that organize talks or support subsidy programs in these bases. They are quite well received. Just now, the chairman mentioned about information dissemination. We have V Ventures, which is a website. The website contains information about partner organizations and the activities. We have overrun. All members who would like to ask questions have had their turn. So that's the end of this agenda item. Now we move on to the next one, Hoi Ting Road Joint User Complex. CB bracket 352 of 2025 bracket 05. Let's invite government representatives to come in. Members, if you would like to ask questions, please press the request to speak button. I remind members, this is in relation to a public works project. Under the Rules of Procedure 83(8), if there is any direct or indirect pecuniary interest with this item, members, please disclose the nature of the interest before you speak. Do bear that in mind. Members, press the button if you would like to ask questions or speak.
秘書處正係調整緊。OK， 喺呢度呢，我想先請。
I would like to ask Mr. Reston Lau, Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, to speak. I'm very glad to have the opportunity to present to you this project. This is the construction of the Hoi Ting Road Joint User Complex. This will be done under my bureau, the LCSD, the Architectural Services Department, as well as the Home Affairs Department. You'll find the information of the project in the paper. This complex will provide a maternal and child health center, sports center, swimming pools, library, community hall, fees charging, public vehicle park. This will meet the needs of residents in terms of health care, sports, library service, parking services. The project will cost about $26 billion. We have balanced the needs and views of different parties. In the process of construction, the LCSD will work with the ASD to monitor progress so that the project can be completed as soon as possible within the budget. The project is long awaited by residents. It's about services related to the needs of residents, we would like to get your endorsement so that the project can start and be completed as soon as possible.
咁我喺呢度宣。
Thank you, Undersecretary. Let me read out the name of members who have pressed the button. Ms. Jovi Chen, Dr. Johnny Ng, Mr. Adrian Ho, Mr. Benson Lok, Mr. Brave Chan, Ms. Rebecca Chen, Mr. Vincent Chang, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Perry Yu, Mr. Scott Leung, and myself. 11 members in total. If we manage time well, each member has 4 minutes. But if there are more members who will ask to speak, we may not have sufficient time to allow all members to speak. If you would like to speak, please press the button now. Ms. Jovi Chen. Thank you, Chairman. The project will cost about $2.6 billion. Taiwan Government Complex, Changquano Area 67 Joint User Complex. There's a market as well. The expenditure stands at about $500 million. Why does this project so expensive? Can the administration tell us why? Hoiting Road Joint User Complex uses the principle of single-site multiple-use swimming pools, libraries, community hall, vehicle park. It's all-inclusive. Why is there no breakdown of the project cost of $2.6 billion? Will you provide us with a little bit more information when this project reaches the stage of the Public Works Subcommittee? This is not ideal. In paragraph 19 of the paper, you already consulted the District Council. After consultation, you have confirmed the planning concept, but the consultation was conducted 5 years ago. The Yaoqing District Council was conducted in 2020. Do you think it reflected the actual demands or needs in the community, given the fact that the consultation was conducted in 2022? I'd like to give the floor to my colleague regarding the breakdown. Yes, member is right. In the Public Works Subcommittee, we will provide more information about the project cost, including the recurrent expenditure. At this stage, at the panel meeting, we'd like to focus on policy discussions in terms of the functions of the joint complex. Regarding consultation, I'd like to give the floor to my colleague to give you more information. Commissioner? Dio. Thank you. Parallel tendering was conducted, so the return tender price has been reflected in the project estimate. The estimated cost of the project reflects the market situation. There are 2 main reasons for the high cost. One, the restrictions in relation to the construction site. As you can see in the paper, it's not just in the railway protection area. Some of the structures of the Twin Mile Line are in the project area. Hence, some requirements about technical aspect. Say we need to set up more surveillance points to observe vibration caused to the ground. And we need to put in place measures or mitigating measures. As you can see in the paper, there's a shared vehicular access with the MTRCL. We need to open this access road 24/7. So staff members of the MTRCL may use this access as well. They need to access the ventilation equipment. This project site is surrounded by a lot of different structures, schools. We want to minimize impact caused to the residents nearby. When we undertake the works, we need to build some noise barriers to minimize the impact of noise on residents. So during examination periods, we will avoid conducting or carrying out noisy procedures. The construction site is very narrow, is even smaller than a school, hence many restrictions. These are the reasons for the high project cost. The tender vetting has just been completed and we are still assessing tenders. At this stage, we aren't able to confirm the details of the tenders yet. As the Undersecretary said, in the Public Works Subcommittee, we will give you more information about the project cost, breakdown of the project cost, as well as the cost in comparison to other projects. Well, not just a little bit more information, you do need to give us detailed information in this regard. District Officer, anything else to add? Well, I'll give more time to the District Officer. Thank you. In 2022, we consulted the District Council in Yau Tsim Mong. District Councils provided different views. In January 2024, the LCSD came to brief members on the project. In the middle of March, there was a District Council meeting. The LCSD came to the District Council once again. District Council was up to speed about the project as well as its progress. They expressed support. Different committees are also looking forward to the commissioning of the project. When members ask questions, please be concise. Let's aim at finishing the meeting within the scheduled time period. Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. I support the project, and I believe it will be well received by residents as well. However, I'm concerned about the project cost. I'm not against this project. I support it instead. But with the current fiscal situation of the government, what is the necessity of building this joint user complex? What about delaying the project? Will it increase the project cost? Have you looked into it? Mr. Raisling Lau. Thank you, Chairman. $8 billion were proposed to spend on this project in 2018 to 19 budget. At the district level, a lot of concerns were expressed. They want the project to be commissioned as soon as possible. Just now the DO explained the consultation process. We have already done quite a lot on the preparatory work, say the impact assessments, design concept of the project, and we have already started the tendering exercise. If we put back the project, there will be extra costs to be incurred when we relaunch a project in the future. And this explains why this is the most suitable moment to kickstart a project and commission it. As my colleague explained, we'll make sure every single cent of public funds is well spent. Any follow-up? No, thank you. Next member, Mr. Adrian Ho. Thank you, Chairman. In principle, I support this project. I have a few questions. There are a lot of state-of-the-art technologies, say automated parking system as well as smart library facilities. What about maintenance costs? Have they been included in the long-term financial planning? How do you prevent maintenance costs being so high, affecting public services? There will be an indoor heated swimming pool. there's a lack of lifeguards at swimming pools. This happened in the LCSD, so with the commissioning of the joint user complex, will the swimming pools be closed owing to a lack of lifeguards? After the end of the short-term tenancy car parks, there will only be 200 spaces. It will fall short of the demand of 300 vehicles. Will it exacerbate the issue of illegal parking? How are you going to deal with the situation? I'll take the first part, and my colleagues will take the second and the third parts regarding costs in the operation of the complex. When we conduct internal auditing, we have already factored in the maintenance costs in the future. We'll make sure we will have sufficient resources to maintain the complex on a daily basis. So members, please rest assured. Regarding the maintenance of the automated parking system as well as the library, the maintenance costs have already been factored in. LCSD. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member. I believe all of us are concerned about the lack of lifeguards in Hong Kong. At another panel meeting, I mentioned a short, medium, and long-term measure. In the short run, we'll have to provide more lifeguard training courses and provide better remuneration packages. In the medium to long term, we will introduce technologies. The aim is to ease the pressure on lifeguards. We will also be recruiting more volunteer lifeguards so that we can provide more facilities. The ERB will also be helping to train more lifeguards, so there will be more lifeguards in the future. And we are also looking into the possibility of outsourcing. We hope this work will achieve good results when this project is commissioned. Regarding the arrangements under the automated parking system, on Hoi Wang Road, there's a provisional car park. The owner of the car park is building multiple sets of automated parking systems. They will provide 100 or so spaces for vehicles. They will be commissioned in the middle of this year. Regarding West Kowloon government offices, there are some parking spaces for vehicles as well. Say for the car park on Canton Road, there is sufficient vacancy rate to allow vehicles to be parked over there when this project is being undertaken. Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Chairman. This project costs $2.6 billion. It's all-inclusive, so I support providing more sports facilities, say swimming pools, sports centers, and so on. These facilities are for public enjoyment. It's accessible. I believe many residents will go to this district to use these facilities. Regarding small libraries, as I noticed in the paper, the design of the small library is mentioned, but are there any new elements? In the middle of 2023, in the Audit Commission's report, in the past 10 years, the number of people going to libraries is decreasing. However, the rental rate of e-books has actually multiplied. There are a total of 40,000 books. Are all of them physical books? Will they be turned electronic? I believe there are many people nowadays going to library to borrow a physical book. If we can reduce the number of physical books, then we can expand the student study room to benefit more students. We can accommodate more than 100 or so students.
Mr. Lau, I'll take the first question first. Of course, there will be e-books on top of physical ones in this small library. The main purpose of the library is provides space to cultivate a reading habit. Of course, it is also a space for parent-child activities. We want to foster a future generation that loves to read. That is the trend of our country. I'll defer to the LCSD. Mr. Lee? I think the member was quoting about information in 2023. It says in the report that there is a low rental rate of physical books. I think the period cover is 2020 to 2022 when there was the epidemic. All libraries in Hong Kong are mostly closed or impose restrictions on the number of entries. So indeed, the number of entrants as well as the rental rate of physical book is low, whereas that of e-books are high. Let's look at 2024. There is a slight drop in the rental of e-books, whereas number of entrants as well as rental of physical books are on the increase. So in addition of the 40,000 physical books, there are also 57,000 e-book points in libraries. Libraries themselves is a point of gathering. On top of reading, people can gather there to engage in activities. In addition to youngsters, there are also elderly people who take part in these activities. So I think these are two different issues. There is a need to keep libraries there. It's just a matter of adjusting the collection. So 40,000 books in your collection and 57,000 e-books. Well, for a small library, there will be a collection of 40,000 books. We have subscribed 570,000 e-books. Well, there is the maternal and child health center. There is also a community hall and swimming pools. I support it, but the government is suffering from a deficit. This is a large amount, $2.6 billion. We support the project, but can it be cheaper? If you make it, if the design is unnecessarily costly, then it's no good. Well, in relation to automated parking, well, you have to make sure that you use technology well. Let me give you some figures. In other locations, say the Yuen Long Street, there was a construction cost of about $700 million. So the unit cost is about $3.5 million. For traditional parking spaces, it's about $500 million. I think that the direction is right, but if you can save where you can, please do. I have something to say about the library. I don't visit libraries that often. But whenever I visit, I see parents and children there, but not many. Can you enhance your e-service so that people can get the information of books without actually visiting the library? In other places, there is delivery of books from libraries. So you can save to compress cost. I will support it. The project will cost $2.6 billion. When I ask you very strongly to turn the automated parking facilities into traditional ones, I think you're repeating yourself. Please give time for the administration to answer. I'll defer to the Transport Department about the parking system and for the LCSD to answer questions in relation to e-service. We fully understand the concern of members about the project cost of $2.6 billion. We attach importance on cost control. Well, we have to go through the project development cost controls office of the Development Bureau. Well, this is the lowest cost. But as I've explained that the project itself is special, there is only one road leading to the site. There is a school nearby. The facilities to be put in the complex require higher cost because, say for example, for a swimming pool, you need a plant room. So we have maximized on the use of the site as well as the plot ratio. We put in as many parking spaces there as possible. Well, the FS talked about cutting costs in individual departments. That can be done. We are not saying that the project is not going to go ahead, but you can save on individual aspects. Say, for example, get rid of the automated parking. I will support it if it is traditional parking because it will be cheaper. We need to work together to save. You need to do your part so that you can garner our support. I don't need an answer. It's just a comment. I think your comments are heard. Well, I think the administration will consider members' concern. Ms. Chen Hoi-Yen, there is a huge demand for government facilities in the Yuen Long District. Residents look forward to this complex. I hope that the complex will offer the functions promised. Let me see if there is any room for adjustments. You talk about maternal and child health center. There are 6 consultation rooms and no less than 13 interview rooms as well as a treatment room. I believe that tomorrow the government will announce fees adjustments upward for public services. This health center will only be commissioned after 4 years. So is there any chance for this center to be transformed, to be changed into, say, day treatment center or a daytime clinic? Any chance that it can be converted for other uses? Well, there may not be there may not be a high demand for maternal and child health services. In the Yuen Long District, there is a serious shortage in parking spaces. You offer about 41 goods vehicles, 26 for light goods vehicles, and 15 for medium heavy goods vehicles. You can, in the evening, turn private car parking spaces into spaces for goods vehicles. We see a lot of goods vehicles in Yuen Long District because of shortage. You can convert the private car parking spaces so that goods vehicles don't have to park by by the road, and the government can also generate a higher revenue from it. I will ask the DFH to answer questions about possible conversion of the health center and the transport department about parking space. Well, in relation to the previous question by the member, I think there was no chance for the transport department to answer. But, well, I'll take this chance to defer to the transport department to answer questions relating to this. Mr. Poon. The question about changing private car parking spaces into goods vehicles parking spaces in the evening, we will consider that. In addition to car parks, we also consider different ways to increase the number of roadside parking spaces when it's safe. Near Hoi Fai Road, we have a number of nighttime parking spaces for commercial vehicles. We try to come up with different ways to increase the number of parking spaces. About the provision of automated parking facilities. Yes, the set itself costs money, but if we are to provide the same number of parking spaces, then cost will increase without the use of the automated facilities. If we are to provide the same number of parking spaces under automated parking system, the construction cost compared to traditional ones is lower. I think the ASD can supplement. We have worked out a scenario if we are to provide 177 parking spaces, just like what the TD said, then we need 3 levels of basement car park. We need a depth of 13.2 meters. And it will extend the construction period by 2 to 3 months, driving up cost by about 46% per parking space. Well, the clinic is very important. Can the MCHC be converted into a clinic? Dr. Leung. Most of the rooms at the health center can be turned into other uses, say for example interview rooms, consultation rooms, or other purposes. We keep an open mind. Next, Mr. Vincent Chang. I support this project. The community has been asking for this project for a long time, and it's a bit late, but it's better late than never. To Olympian City, Tai Kok Tsui, the residents there need the facilities, and the complex will support the needs of the entire district. There are only 2 or 3 community halls in the area. That is not enough. For sports centers, people go to Kowloon Park at Tsim Sha Tsui. But there is a high utilization rate. It's overcapacity there. So I think the facility serves at the entire Kowloon area as well. So I do hope that the project will be expedited. People have been waiting for too long. I understand Mr. Chen's concern about cost. I asked the administration to reconsider. They should try to save as much as possible. Yes, the site is near a number of schools. It is a joint user complex housing many different uses. I think they do have the reasons for the arrangement, but I just asked them to save as much as possible. I agree with the point by the member of the Maternal and Child Health Center. Its reprovisions, I would like to get more information about the different services or different arrangements of between the new and the old one. Is it sufficient to support needs from the local residents?
我哋一定係
Undersecretary, thank you. We'll save as much as we can. As the TD already explained, an automated parking system will provide more spaces. Otherwise, the construction costs will be even higher. We'll make sure every single cent of the public funds is well spent. And any public funds that could be saved will be plowed back to the CWRF. Thank you. What about the MCHC, Maternal and Child Health Center? If MCHC is moved to Hoiting Road, it will be more spacious. Apart from existing services that is providing integrated child health and development program for children from birth to 5 years old, we will also be supporting parent-child education as well as services in other areas such as health promotion. Thank you. Mr. Perry Yu. The Hoiting Road Joint User Complex is a livelihood project. It will encourage more members of the public to do exercise. There is no reason for me not to support it, but I understand many members are concerned about project costs. I have some experience with the Joint User Complex, and I can share with you. The swimming pools are going to be on the 3rd floor. And I believe the cost will be very much different when the swimming pools are on the 3rd floor and on the ground floor. The loading is different when the swimming pools are on the 3rd floor. For daily maintenance, there are going to be more issues if they are going to be on the 3rd floor. If the swimming pools are on the ground floor or on the 1st floor, say for the Joint User Complex in Lam Tin, it's on the 1st floor. For this project, from the perspective of construction, we need to think how to save money. Other points are rather trivial. For Lam Tai Phai College, I was involved in the design of the swimming pools. In the end, the swimming pool is on the ground floor, and the project cost was reduced a lot. Thank you. I'll give the floor to the ASD. Thank you, member, for your question. The loading of the indoor heated swimming pools is quite heavy. For medium and heavy goods vehicles, they will be parked on the ground floor. This is more ideal in relation to the use of spaces or the use of space. If the indoor swimming pools are on the ground floor, we'll have to provide ramps for vehicles to access other floors, and this will not be cost effective. At present, the community hall will be on the ground floor. Around 450 to 500 people will go in and out of the community hall. If the hall is on the ground floor, it will be more convenient and better for crowd management. I understand swimming pools may have a higher loading, but we need to avoid too much loading on one single floor or in the same space. For the secondary arena and the main arena, we can enhance the structural efficiency if they are put together on the same floor. Now, when we put all the LCSD facilities on the same floor, it will make management easier. Thank you. Next member, Mr. Scott Leung. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I support the project that is the Hoi Ting Road Joint User Complex. As other members mentioned, there's a lack of facilities in the community in that area. There are only 2 community halls in the Yuen Long District, and this complex will provide 1 more community hall. There is just 1 children's playroom in the area, and it is immensely popular among residents in the area. So there's a pressing need to provide 1 more children's playroom. There is no training pool or teaching pool in the area. So this complex actually meets the needs of the public. I have questions on 2 fronts. One regarding libraries for the provision of computer facilities. I've talked to the district. Do we really need traditional computer facilities in the computer room? Technologies have developed by leaps and bounds. We don't necessarily need to sit in front of a computer to search for information. Can tablets be provided in the computer room? It's more room saving. And we can also change the space into student study room. This is better use of space. Some members asked about parking spaces just now. The 350 car parks right now and demands far outstrip supply. Canton Road, there is another car park, but it takes about 20 minutes to go to that car park. I'm not speaking from the perspective of saving costs. If we build an automated parking system, can we provide more parking spaces? We need to make the best use of the public funds. We shouldn't just reduce the number of parking spaces. Regarding the West Kowloon government offices in the North Tower, the car park will be open for public use after working hours, or after office hours rather. Will you open more of such parking spaces for public use? Thank you. I'll give the floor to the LCSD and the TD to answer members' questions. Thank you, member, for your questions. In designing the library, we will make the best use of the space. All the computers are multifunctional. In designing library, we will improve the design in order to make the library look more spacious. That is, we will enhance the feeling of spaciousness in the library. Well, regarding the provision of parking spaces within office hours, we actually don't have a lot of parking spaces right now. Some parking spaces are for the operation of the building in office hours. In the evening, the car park is open for public use. At present, there is still some space for the public to use the parking spaces. So is there any further room to further increase the utilization rate of the automated parking system? We will review the use of the space afterwards. Thank you. Next member, Ms. Connie Lam. Thank you, member. While I was in a Bills Committee meeting just now, please tell me if I'm repeating some of the questions asked. Thank you, Chairman. Regarding the Hoi Ting Road Joint User Complex, in the Yuen Long District, there's an acute demand for safe leisure and sports facilities, as well as parking facilities. I have 2 main questions. In the document, the utilization rate of Yuen Long Sports Center is 96%. For Kowloon swimming pool, when there's a competition, then there's a lack of facilities, and the MCHC will have to be moved. It will take four and a half years for the project to go from the panel meeting to the PWSC and to the commissioning of the project. Consultation started as early as in 2019. There are a total of 300,000 residents in the Yuen Long District. There are also secondary and primary schools in the area. Demands far outstrip supply. So how will the administration compress the timeline? Will you work faster? Say, will you provide open-air car parks? In the interim, we can alleviate the pressure on the lack of parking spaces in the Yuen Long District. Thank you. Thank you. We're anxious about the project, and we have already conducted parallel tendering. When the Legislative Council approves the project, we'll get started right away. Just now, my colleague has already explained the restrictions in relation to the construction project. There are road restrictions, and the project area is small. All these pose difficulties to the construction works. And I will give the floor to the ASD to give you further information about the arrangements for car parks. Before the ASD replies, I will extend the meeting by some 5 minutes. It will be enough, I guess. ASD, thank you. Thank you, member, for your questions. Regarding the construction period, we have already considered all the construction works, including the topside development, foundation, and so on. We think 4.5 years are a reasonable construction period. These facilities will span a large area, including a main arena and a secondary arena. The layout of all the 9 floors is different. There is no so-called standard floor design. We need to complement with different facilities in order to carry out the indoor decoration works. About 8.3 meters deep or tall basement. About 55 meters, 5.5 meters rather, beneath the ground level. So I'm not going to repeat the restrictions on the construction site. All these explain why the entire construction works will take 4.5 years. I'll give the floor to the TD in relation to the car parks. As member mentioned, as for the arrangements for cars, we have already conducted a survey. The utilization rate of adjacent car parks isn't 100%. There's still some space. For Canton Road car park in the vicinity, there are sufficient parking spaces for vehicles to be parked over there while the construction project is being carried out. In the coming few years, there will be close to 1,000 parking spaces for vehicles. Thank you.
我就提
I will be asking questions. Just 2 simple questions. Well, the provision of recreational facilities, say swimming pool, I support in principle. Of course, I'm more concerned about cost. There are a number of private residential complexes nearby. They have sports facilities and swimming pools. The complex may be near the Olympic station, but compared to other complexes, there aren't many modes of transport to choose from. Hoi Ting Road may be outside the areas that they frequent. Residents may use facilities near where they live. I'm concerned about usage in the future. Another question is about the MCHC. It will be reprovisioned. How long do you think the construction period be? How do you ensure continuity in service provision in the meantime? I'll defer to the DH about the health center. Let me start. Land is precious in Hong Kong. It is not easy to identify the site large enough for a complex. We have conducted studies, consultations over a number of years before we make a decision on what facilities to put in there. These facilities will be frequently used by members of the public. I believe residents will be happy to use the facilities in the complex when they are commissioned. Dr. Low? The service at the temporary center will operate until the new complex is commissioned, so there will be a seamless transition. Yes, there are private residential complexes nearby. My understanding is that the user groups are different. For private residential complex, their clubs are limited to residents. Well, nearby there is the Cherry district and the Fu Park district. To the north there is Tai Kok Tsui. Our understanding is that the area has no community hall. Well, we recommend that the project will take place here because for Yau Chim Wang West there is a lack of public facilities. That's why we choose this location. Other than the number of residents in residential complexes, we also consider whether there are public housing areas nearby. I don't think members need to worry about utilization of these facilities. Members have asked questions and replies have been given. I think that is the end of this item. But before we do, let me ask members. You don't object to submitting this project for the consideration of the PWSC, is that right? Last item, any other business? There is no other business. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.